That was a game that went close. All of us were listening on the radio. Where is Syed Kirmani? He stumping of Joel Garner. Kiri bhai? जी मैं अपनी जुबान में बोल लेता हूँ मैं. Joel Garner stumped. Kirmani bowled Ravi Shastri. याद है आपको? आपके हाथ में ये कोई बात नहीं.
हाँ जी, मेरे को कुछ चीज़ें ज़्यादा याद नहीं रहते हैं क्योंकि आपको ज़्यादा याद है क्योंकि आपके सिर पे मेरे से ज़्यादा बाल है. तो
आपने कटवाया, मैंने फिर लगवाया.
मेरे को सिर्फ जॉन गार्डनर की हाइट याद है मेरे को, उसके आगे आपको याद है. आप बताइए. हाँ, उसने मेरा स्टम्प है राइट, तो उसने जो उतनी ऊपर से जो कहा मेरे को, क्या कहा मालूम है, वो तो ऊपर से चले गया. ऊपर से चले गया जो भी बोला वो. मैं यहाँ पे वो जो सुपरस्टिशन की बात जो की है, मानने जो सारी टीम को जैसे बैठे हैं वैसे बैठने का है. तो श्रीकांत और उसकी बेगम झाड़ के नीचे एक के बाद एक सिगरेट पी रहा है और he had kept on her shoulders. ऐसे ही ऐसे वो देख रहा था and suddenly he said, "मान," बोल के बताया, उधर ही कर ले.
बेगम भी सिगरेट पी रही थी.
हाँ जी, बिल्कुल. बेगम साथ में रहना चाहिए, हर वक्त सिगरेट पीते भी.
बेगम नहीं सिगरेट पीता रहे, मैं पी रहा है. क्या बेगम सिगरेट पी रहा है? विद्या, ये नहीं अच्छा ना लोग बोल माइंड बस क्या वाला रंगा. Don't really call this fellow, sir. The problem with Man was it was so cold, yeah, Tonbridge Wells, and open air. And Vidya at least is born and being fully brought up in Delhi. She's used to the cold weather. मैं तो मद्रासी हूँ, hot weather. मैं बोल रहा मान 5 मिनट में नहीं कुछ भी करो, आप तो पैंट में करो. से क्या दबा रहे हैं. So entire 175 not out, thanks to Man Singh, both Vidya and myself saw the match, leading on Vidya's shirt, the shoulder and the wall, and it was an amazing, what do you call, 174. Kapil, Tusi great Baji.
Is that why, before this function started, you quickly went to the washroom and came?
You are right. You said it right. You were searching where Srikkanth. I heard you saying that. I thought better not to do the same thing. What mistake I did in Tonbridge Wells.
नहीं, इसका क्या था कि ये जब चलता था तो बैट इसका रगड़ के आता था. ऐसे और आके बैट ऐसे मारते ना, बैट लेके ना, जिमी व्हाट टू डू यार, व्हाट टू डू मैन. और एक तो उसका एक्सेंट भी, मैं पंजाब का, वो मद्रास का. मैं पंजाबी बोल रहा हूँ, वो अंग्रेजी बोल रहा है. So anyway, then ऐसे कि yeah, you know, Jimmy, I'm having some problem with Joe. I say, what problem? So I say, just play a normal game. He say, yeah, can I play a normal game? I say, go ahead. First thing, slashed over slips 4 runs. Next thing, square cut pass point. Then he went to the other end. Then he again not slogged. He played a pull shot to a good delivery.
Andy Roberts, I think.
Andy Roberts. It's a pitched up delivery. Only he could do it. Nobody else. They went for a flat 6. I think Andy just kept looking at him. What's wrong? What's happening to this guy? Next ball, square cut, square drive. And I still remember Malcolm Marshall used to call him madman. Because in those days, people never used to hit over the top to fast bowlers. But he was the only one in the world at that time. He would hit over mid-off, over covers and all that. But what a fantastic inning. Really, I think that was one of the best innings we watched in the World Cup from Indian point of view. And at a crucial time, I think we needed somebody like him to go and score those runs freely. Although we scored 183, but I think they were good enough to beat West Indies.
Dilip is wondering what I'm doing sitting next to Chika at this stage, because Chika, I promise you, from the time I used to know him in the mid-80s to now, he has not changed at all.
What is that? What is that to change, Harsha? क्या बात कर रहे हैं आप? क्या change करना चाहिए चलो? one good thing is, dear friends here and people are watching, I had the license from all the captains, whether it's a Kapil Dev or a Sunil Gavaskar. Chika, apna game khelo. So both Sunny, who say hi Sunny, and then of course Sunny is the original partner, and then Ravi Shastri, my other partner. How are you, Shastri? What's up, man? So
This thing.
yeah. So all these guys used to give you a license. Maar, kuch bhi kar. So one thing is when we have a captain's backing and the players, all the senior players backing, they can play a natural game. What more do you want? I mean, why should I change? Kya baat kar rahe yaar? Change. Kya change karna chahiye bolo?
Roger, there's a question that's been given to me to ask you. I didn't know about this story. But is it true that you really pushed Kirti Azad into the pool? You, I mean, the gentleman of the side, couldn't harm a fly.
That's the other way around. That's the other way
No,
around.
you're turning the story around.
So Kirti pushed you?
Kirti was the one who tried to push me inside. I moved aside, stepped aside, and I pushed him inside the pool. Ask him that.
No, listen. I've got a witness there and Ravi asked him. First it was Roger who went in and then Ravi said, kya hua? I said, I don't know kya hua. So he came there, I pushed him also. And then both these Jadiyas came and pushed me. And the worst part was that I didn't know how to swim. And I was in the deep end. So they had to come in, dive again the second time to save me. So they went in twice, I went in once.
True, Ravi?
True, absolutely true. But I've never seen so many bubbles in the water once Kirti went in.
कोई भी हो, कीर्ति आजाद की ऑफ स्पिन कौन भूल सकता है? वहाँ पे जो 12 उसने डाले, माय गॉड, उसको भी वो एक चीज जो मैजिक बॉल गया था उसने बहुत थम क्या हो, मेरे ख्याल से आजकल वो ऐसा मिस्ट्री बॉल है, किसी को पता ही नहीं वो कैसे कर सकते हैं। मेरे ख्याल कीर्ति कर सकता है वापस?
कीर्ति यहाँ बैठे हैं, कीर्ति आप बताएं।
वो दोबारा नहीं हो सकती मेरी।
बड़ी जमीन से प्यार हो गई थी उसकी।
वो वर्ल्ड कप में ही होनी थी, उसी के लिए मैंने उसको मिस्ट्री बॉल था और बोथम के लिए बनाया था और उसका विकेट लिया था।
आपने मुझे एक बड़ी मजेदार बात कही थी, आपने कहा कि 35 साल बाद जब भी मैं वो वीडियो देखता हूँ कपिल देव भाग रहे हैं गेंद पे और मुझे अभी भी टेंशन होती है कि पहुंच पाएंगे कि नहीं, कैच पकड़ पाएंगे कि नहीं।
नहीं, उस समय जब तक आपको याद होगा वो वीडियो चलता था अपना, VCR था साथ में, याद होगा आप लोगों को VCR था ना पहले, वो टेप आते थे, तो वो जब कभी भी कपिल भागता था और मैं VCR पे देखता था तो मैं देखता था, अब तो यश बाजी हमारे हैं नहीं, गॉड ब्लेस हिज सोल, वो उधर से भाग के आ रहे, क्राउड से 4 आदमी भाग के आ रहे हैं, तो मुझे डर लग जाता था। तो जैसे ही कैच के पास कपिल आता था मैं फास्ट फॉरवर्ड कर देता था, कहीं ये कैच ड्रॉप ना हो जाए।
Everyone talks about the catch that Kapil Dev took, but the bowler who bowled that ball insisted on bowling that over. बाजी, आपको लड़ना पड़ा गेंद के लिए, दोबारा खींचने के लिए कि मैं और करूं?
मेरे को लड़ना तो नहीं पड़ा, पर मेरे को लग रहा था कि कपिल मेरे को चेंज कर देगा, क्योंकि देखिए स्कोर बहुत कम था, 183 इज नॉट अ बिग स्कोर। अगर एक ओवर में आपको 15-20 रन पड़ जाते हैं 2 ओवर में, तो डेफिनेटली कैप्टन विल थिंक अबाउट इट, बट आई वांटेड टू बोल एक्स्ट्रा ओवर, बिकॉज मैंने वैसे आपको मैं बताना चाहूँगा, मैंने एक बार नहीं आउट किया, उसको पहले भी मैंने आउट किया 2-3 बार, एक बार कलकत्ता टेस्ट मैच में किया था, एक बार वेस्ट इंडीज में भी किया था,
वेविस का बकरा था।
हाँ, एक बार जो अंपायर था उसने नॉट आउट दे दिया था शारजा में, क्लीन LBW था।
बॉल सबको याद है, लेकिन रन बनाया आपने। आई वांट टू आस्क यू अबाउट योर रन्स, क्योंकि आपने अक्सर कहा कि वो बॉल सर पे लगा इसलिए बॉल जो हाथ में से निकला वो अलग निकला।
लास्ट विकेट पार्टनरशिप की बात कर रहे हो?
हाँ,
नहीं, मैं ऑलवेज बिलीव करता हूँ कि लास्ट बैट्समैन जो होता है, लास्ट विकेट पार्टनरशिप, अगर वो नॉट आउट रहे तो जितने भी रन बनते हैं वो मैं सोचता हूँ कि मैंने बनाए, क्योंकि मैं अगर आउट हो जाता हूँ तो रन नहीं बनेंगे। तो उस मैच में बेशक मैंने सब 10-11 बनाए होंगे, लेकिन मेरी अखिरी भाई की पार्टनरशिप हुई तो हमारी 22 रन की पार्टनरशिप हुई, और वो उस लो स्कोरिंग गेम में इंपॉर्टेंट पार्टनरशिप थी, मुझे लगता है, ऐसे आज भी लगता है। तो मुझे लगता है कि मैंने 22 रन बनाए, क्योंकि मैं वहाँ आउट नहीं हुआ और मैं नॉट आउट ही रहा। और उसका एक दूसरा कारण भी था कि मेरे सर पे जब बॉल लगा तो मुझे सब वो टीचरें याद आ गई जिसने कान पे मुझे मारा, और उसके बाद में दिमाग चलने लग जाता है।
Even Sunil Gavaskar is laughing as he was that. You can see that fast bowlers never change. Kapil is still setting the slips cordon. Yeah? थोड़ा first slip पीछे, second slip थोड़ा आगे, third slip थोड़ा और आगे, ताकि सब हो जाए. वैसे आपके opening बैट्समैन आए नहीं अभी, लेकिन आएंगे. Is Chika here?
Oh yeah.
I said for my generation, there's so many questions. I'll try and bring that alive because every person on this stage had a role to play over as that tournament progressed. A lot of people remember 25th June 1983, but I think the scene was set. Kabir, don't look at me like that. I know you've shown that one also. The scene was set when India played the West Indies for the very first time. And that was a game that went close. All of us were listening on the radio. Where is Syed Kirmani? He stumping off Joel Garner. Kiri bhai? जी मैं अपनी जुबान में बोल लेता हूँ मैं. Joel Garner stumped. Kirmani bowled. रवि शास्त्री याद है आपको? आपके हाथ में ये कोई बात नहीं.
हाँ जी, मेरे को कुछ चीज़ें ज़्यादा याद नहीं रहते हैं क्योंकि आपको ज़्यादा याद है क्योंकि आपके सिर पे मेरे से ज़्यादा बाल हैं. तो
आपने कटवाए, मैंने फिर लगवाए.
मेरे को सिर्फ जोल गार्डनर की हाइट याद है मेरे को, उसके आगे आपको याद है. आप बताइए.
Is Ravi with us actually? I think if Ravi is down there on the line with us, maybe Ravi can tell us, because there was a partnership going on and they come really close. We were all listening on the radio, and then Joel Garner out for 37. Paji, आपको लगा था कि पहली मैं Ravi, there you are. Can you hear me, Ravi?
Yes, I can.
Talk to him first.
Ravi, I was just asking Kiribai, he claims not to remember, he's lying. Joel
Of course
Garner.
it's fine.
Joel
Of
Garner
course
stumped Kirmani bowled Shastri. Tell us the thoughts in that first game, because that set the scene for the whole triumph, didn't it?
Of course he's lying. You think a keeper won't remember a World Cup victim? Of course he'll remember. बाल हो नहीं बाल हो, याद है किरीबाई को बराबर. याद रखना वो. He remembers very clearly, and it was instrumental. Those stumpings were instrumental. I think because that was a very good partnership going. Ghana had hit me a couple of times into the railway track at Old Trafford. So that stumping down the leg side was like greased lightning. Fast hands. In those days he had hands faster than a pickpocket, and he removed those bails in a flash. Which was fantastic. It set the tone for the tournament. It was, it made the whole team believe that the world champions could be beaten. They'd never been beaten in World Cup cricket, over 2 World Cups, and then to win that first game really, really set the tone. And Kiri was Kiri.
Now he's remembered, Ravi. Just hang on, he's remembered now.
नहीं देखो, उसने when I stopped him, right? तो उसने जो उतनी ऊपर से जो कहा मेरे को, क्या कहा मालूम है, वो तो ऊपर से चले गया. ऊपर से चले गया जो भी बोला वो. That's the only thing I know.
But that was the game that set the scene, and as it went along, there were so many people who played a part.
See what I told him.
Can I get Jimmy bhai, because he was in great form with the bat leading up 82-83 in Pakistan, in the West Indies. He scored 11-1200 runs. अरे आपकी bowling, आप सोच रहे थे कि मेरी bowling से World Cup जीतेंगे?
आपको शायद याद होगा कि नहीं होगा, मैंने अपना करियर एज ए बॉलर ही शुरू किया.
बिल्कुल, मैं पूछने ही वाला था कि कितने लोगों को याद है that Mohinder Amarnath made his debut as a new ball bowler for India back in '69, but to recall that against England semi-final में, final में.
नहीं, बिल्कुल भरोसा होना चाहिए अपने ऊपर. अगर आप में दम है, भरोसा है, तो आप तो कुछ भी हासिल कर सकते हैं. तो बिल्कुल ऐसा नहीं था कि हम वेस्ट इंडीज को सोच रहे थे कि बहुत बड़ी टीम है. टू वेरी ऑनेस्ट, ये मेरा सोचने का तरीका था. आई एम श्योर कि जो हम 11 फील्ड पे होते थे वो भी ऐसे ही सोचते थे कि हम उनसे बेहतर है. ओके, कहने के लिए उसे जो गार्नर 6'8" वहाँ पे है, माइकल होल्डिंग 6'4", martial art and NDR, but you don't think all those things. Once you're in the midst of a battle, you think you're as good or better than your opponents actually. And this is what actually made this team world champions. And we all clicked at the right time. You just asked me कि मेरी bowling का बिल्कुल भरोसा था मैं अपनी गेंदबाजी पे. सब पे भरोसा था वैसे बलविंदर संधू, रॉजर बिनी, मदन लाल, कपिल, कोई भी हो, कीर्ति आजाद की ऑफ स्पिन कौन भूल सकता है? वहाँ पे जो 12 उसने डाले, माय गॉड, उसको भी वो एक चीज जो मैजिक बॉल किया था उसने बहुत हम क्या हो, मेरे ख्याल से आजकल वो ऐसा मिस्ट्री बॉल है, किसी को पता ही नहीं हो कैसे कर सकते हैं. मेरे ख्याल कीर्ति कर सकता है वापस.
कीर्ति यहाँ बैठे हैं, कीर्ति आप बताएं.
वो दोबारा नहीं हो सकती मेरी.
बड़ी जमीन से प्यार हो गई थी उसकी.
वो वर्ल्ड कप में ही होनी थी, उसी के लिए मैंने उसको मिस्ट्री बॉल था और बोथम के लिए बनाया था और उसका विकेट लिया था.
कीजिए, आपने मुझे एक बड़ी मजेदार बात कही थी. आपने कहा कि 35 साल बाद जब भी मैं वो वीडियो देखता हूँ कपिल देव भाग रहे हैं गेंद पे और मुझे अभी भी टेंशन होती है कि पहुंच पाएंगे कि नहीं, कैच पकड़ पाएंगे कि नहीं.
नहीं, उस समय जब तक आपको याद होगा वो वीडियो चलता था अपना, वीसीआर था साथ में. याद होगा आप लोगों को, वीसीआर था ना पहले, वो टेप आते थे. तो वो जब कभी भी कपिल भागता था और मैं वीसीआर पे देखता था तो मैं देखता था अब तो यश बाजी हमारे हैं नहीं, मे गॉड ब्लेस हिज सोल, वो उधर से भाग के आ रहे हैं, क्राउड से 4 आदमी भाग के आ रहे हैं, तो मुझे डर लग जाता था. तो जैसे ही कैच के पास कपिल आता था मैं फास्ट फॉरवर्ड कर देता था कहीं ये कैच ड्रॉप ना हो जाए.
Ravi, you can hear Kirti talking over there.
Again, I was in the balcony at Old Trafford, and that again was a crucial game. England were firm favourites, at least in their media. When you open the newspapers in the morning, that day it was only England, and India was as if we are the outsiders. You have absolutely no chance. And Botham was in his prime, and when you get him out, that game is on an even keel, and so that wicket was extremely crucial. In fact, that spell from Kirti, and at the other end, I think all the medium pacers and fast bowlers bowled. But that period of 10 overs for me changed the game because boundaries just didn't come. The scoring rate came down alarmingly, and the pressure started building. And then when you get a couple of wickets, a run out, I think Yash, was instrumental in that run out. I don't know who it was, but a crucial run out at that stage, and then Kirti getting both of them, tilted the entire balance. I'm just saying, Harsha, I miss being there, with this entire lot. I am in London today, but I am going to go somewhere in 2 hours. And it's another similar day to June 25th, 1983. It's another beautiful day in London. I'm at Lord's 2 hours from now, and I'm going to get that book parked somewhere at Lord's, either on the ground or on the balcony or in the dressing room. Somewhere it will be at Lord's. I congratulate I just thank the sponsors, Opus and Payments, for putting out this one hell of a book. I'll need 3 guys to carry it into the ground because Kapil said it's 25 kilos. So, it'll be some arm exercises there. But historic day, and it's another beautiful day today.
You'll realize as we are going along that every player here had some role to play. Roger, you remember that spell, Graham Fowler? Was it the ball swinging? You never stopped swinging the ball in England.
Yeah, well, England is I think for me, of any of us, fast bowlers was the best place to bowl in. And the more you pitch the ball up, the more swing you got. And that's what Kapil Dev taught us, how to swing the ball. And then I got a lot of purchase from the wicket. I seamed the ball a little bit. So that's why I was able to get through those big throughs and get wickets.
He doesn't agree. Kapil Dev told me the only thing I tried to teach Roger Binney was Hindi.
Well, I'm soon going to have a conversation with him.
Roger, there's a question that's been given to me to ask you. I didn't know about this story. But is it true that you really pushed Kirti Azad into the pool? You, the gentleman of the side, couldn't harm a fly.
That's the other way around. That's the other way around.
You're turning the story around.
So Kirti pushed you?
Kirti was the one who tried to push me inside. I moved aside, stepped aside, and I pushed him inside the pool. Ask him that.
Now listen. I've got a witness there, and Ravi asked him. First it was Roger who went in, and then Ravi said, "Kya hua? I said, "I don't know kya hua." So he came there, I pushed him also. And then both these Jadiyas came and pushed me. And the worst part was that I didn't know how to swim. And I was in the deep end. So they had to come in, dive again the second time to save me. So they went in twice, I went in once.
True, Ravi?
True, absolutely true. But I've never seen so many bubbles in the water once Kirti went in. he could breathe. We had to literally get him out and take him on the side. And that's what can happen if you're thrown at the deep end and you can't swim. So when that team of 83 was on the ground, it wanted to swim. It was not a team that was going to take anything lying down. Like Jimmy said, against any opposition, there was belief there that no team is bigger than you once you cross that boundary line and get onto that cricket field. And that kind of belief was there amongst the entire lot. Even we guys sitting in the balcony for the final had that belief. Right, I might have been 21 years of age, I had that belief that this team can win it. And sure well we did. So it's fabulous. It's a great day. It should be remembered lifelong, in Indian sport.
Everyone talks about the catch that Kapil Dev took, but the bowler who bowled that ball insisted on bowling that over. भाजी आपको लड़ना पड़ा गेंद के लिए दोबारा खींचने के लिए कि मैं और करूं?
मेरे को लड़ना तो नहीं पड़ा, पर मेरे को लग रहा था कि कपिल मेरे को चेंज कर देगा, क्योंकि देखिए स्कोर बहुत कम था. 183 इज नॉट अ बिग स्कोर. अगर एक ओवर में आपको 15-20 रन पड़ जाते हैं 2 ओवर में, तो डेफिनेटली कैप्टन विल थिंक अबाउट इट, बट आई वांटेड टू बोल एक्स्ट्रा ओवर, बिकॉज मैं बताना चाहूँगा, मैंने एक बार नहीं आउट किया, उसको पहले भी मैंने आउट किया 2-3 बार. एक बार कलकत्ता टेस्ट मैच में किया था, एक बार वेस्ट इंडीज में भी किया था.
वेविस का बकरा था.
हाँ, एक बार अंपायर था उसने नॉट आउट दे दिया था शारजाह में, क्लीन LBW था. तो ये दीज थिंग्स कहते हैं ना कि आपकी लाइन में होती हैं. तो मेरी लाइन में भी ऐसा था कि रिचर्ड को आउट करना था, ये हुआ और हम आपके सामने बैठे हैं. पर मैं समझता हूँ कि इट वॉज अ टीम एफर्ट. If you, like you rightly said, end of the day, if you look at the score, whole World Cup, I think most of the guys have done very, very well. So that's the only way you can win at such a big World Cup, if everybody perform.
आप सब गौर करें, मदन भाई यहाँ नहीं देख रहे थे, वो कपिल की तरफ देख के बोल रहे थे मैंने पहले आउट किया था. तो अभी भी डिस्कशन वही चल रहा है.
बट ये ठीक है, बॉल तो मैंने किया था, पर कपिल जब पीछे भाग रहा था मेरे को पता था ये कर लेगा, क्योंकि ये कॉन्फिडेंस होता है अपने में, क्योंकि कपिल वॉज वन ऑफ द बेस्ट फील्डर इन आवर टीम. सो मेरे को यही डर था कि यशपाल ना कहीं इसके बीच में कुछ तो क्या था कि वो भी बड़ी तेज से भाग रहा था, क्योंकि बट कपिल टुक ए वंडरफुल कैच, no doubt about that. But end of the day, the last wicket, when Jimmy got it, that was the end of the story. Then we came to know that we have really won the World Cup. कई बार बिलीव नहीं होता कि वाकई में हमने जीता है, बट जिमी ने लास्ट विकेट जब लिया तब ऐसा लगा कि हाँ, क्योंकि स्कोर कम, बट फिर भी उनके जो लेटर ऑन बैट्समैन थे वो रन बनाते थे. God is very kind to us.
जिमी से 2 सवाल करना चाह रहा हूँ, क्योंकि रेणु जी यहाँ पर हैं. 2-3 मैचेस में आपकी और यशपाल की बड़ी जबरदस्त पार्टनरशिप हुई, स्पेशली उस इंग्लैंड गेम में जहाँ आप दोनों ने एकदम एक स्विच ऑन कर दिया. ऐसे लग रहा था कि चलते जा रहा है, एकदम किसी ने स्विच ऑन कर दिया और स्कोर आगे बढ़ता गया. टेल अस अबाउट दैट पार्टनरशिप सो दैट पीपल विल अंडरस्टैंड लिटिल बिट मोर अबाउट इट.
नहीं, बिल्कुल मेरे ख्याल से प्लानिंग इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. आप कुछ भी करें, प्लानिंग के बगैर नहीं कर सकते. So in those days we were playing 60 overs cricket, and we used to have lunch break, tea break, and all those things used to happen. We were batting together before tea. तो यश के पास मैं गया तो of course we are talking Punjabi only. तो ऐसे यश हाँ जी जिम्बा मैं कहा जरा आराम नाल खेडी. Don't take any risk before tea. ऐसे we should lose a wicket. That was the plan. And he said okay, ठीक है. So we played very slow. I don't know what the guy must be thinking in the dressing room at that time. I'm sure they must be thinking, टेस्ट क्रिकेट खेल रहे हैं कि वनडे क्रिकेट खेल रहे हैं. तो जब हम वापस भी गए तो आई थिंक वहाँ पे ना माहौल कुछ अलग था वैसे ड्रेसिंग रूम में. नॉर्मली क्या होता है जब बैट्समैन आता है अंदर तो 4 आदमी आते हैं आपके पूछने के लिए, कोई पानी ला रहा है, कोई चाय ला रहा है, एंड 20 मिनट में ना तो यहाँ पे हमें अलग से छोड़ दिया गया एक तरह से। अति मान आए थे, मान लेके आया था पानी वहाँ पे हमारे लिए, हमारे मैनेजर। एंड सो एनीवे, सो उसके बाद when we were going down, then I say कि now Yash, this is the time we must take some risk. I say you play safely and I'll go for it. He say yes Jimpa. ओ जिम्पा करी जाए और मारी भी जाए जाके वहाँ पे। अच्छा जब भी मैं एक शॉट मारूं तो वो ओवर खत्म हो जाए तो ऐसे कि टेक इट इजी। अच्छा जिम्पा एक उधर एलेट को मार दिया, एक उधर बॉब विलिस को मार दिया। तो आई थिंक इट जस्ट अ प्लानिंग थी कि हम लोग वी नाउ विल गो फॉर इंग्लिश बॉलिंग। एंड आई थिंक वंस यू स्टार्ट हिटिंग तो ऑटोमेटिकली जो ओपोनेंट्स थे दे वर बिकेम मोर डिफेंसिव। एंड व्हाट एन ग्रेट इनिंग।
आपके पीछे somebody has joined us as well. Sunil Gavaskar has joined us. Very happy to see that he's got his seatbelt on as well. Huge applause for everybody.
And second is open at this point. Yeah, so maybe we should just hang around and tell us.
Yeah.
The only thing I was thinking about, because that bowling is not worth it. Yes, when we last in Europe, that the army that I want.
Sunny, can you tell us your memories of that day? Ravi said he's going to Lord's in a couple of hours. That morning of 25th of June 1983, not the evening, but the morning. No, I don't think we can get the audio.
And he's on mute.
I've unmuted myself.
Yeah.
It's very seldom that somebody can mute me, but I'm trying to unmute myself. You know. No, but I was just saying that it was just on the just listening to these. These are stories that one can hear over and over again. The thing about Kirti being dipped into the pool, dumped into the pool. These are all fantastic things. This is what many years after you finish playing cricket, that's what you remember. Mateship, has made this group such a special group, and we really miss Yash today. Yash would have really enjoyed for the premiere as well, because he was such a team man, somebody who was always wanting to get into a team environment, to do something for the team. So really missing Yash over the last year. That is there. But yes, to come back to that thing on the 25th of June morning, the tension was still about the complimentary tickets. The match was at the back of your mind. I think because when you leave tickets at the reception, the hotel reception, there is no guarantee, because we are such a clever a bunch, the Indians, that if you left it in the name of Mr. Patel or something like that, or so there will be so many guys who might actually be Bogles, but who will say that they are Patels and pick the ticket, and so that was the tension. And then of course when you went to the ground, I think then it started to come through that you're playing the West Indies in the finals, and we went and as we walked from the to the nursery for a little bit of a knock, that's where you saw the pitch, and the pitch was so green. It was almost as if the groundsman couldn't care, since England was not in the finals, couldn't be bothered about shaving the grass on the pitch. But in the end, that actually helped us, because our bowling was exactly suited for that kind of surface. So the memories really have been of the morning have been really about the tension, about making sure that the tickets reach the right people.
Story. Might have a different story to tell. Did he really tell you that?
नहीं, इसका क्या था कि ये जब चलता था तो बैट इसका रगड़ के आता था, ऐसे, और आके बैट ऐसे मारते ना, बैट लेके ना, जिमी व्हाट टू डू यार, व्हाट टू डू मैन। और एक तो उसका एक्सेंट भी, मैं पंजाब का, वो मद्रास का, मैं पंजाबी बोल रहा हूँ, वो अंग्रेजी बोल रहा है। So anyway, then I said कि Jimmy, I'm having some problem with Joe. I said, what problem? So I said, just play a normal game. He said, yeah, can I play a normal game? I said, go ahead. First thing slashed over slips, 4 runs. Next thing, square cut, pass point. Then he went to the other end. Then he again not slogged. He played a pull shot to a good delivery.
Andy Roberts, I think.
Andy Roberts. It's a pitched up delivery. Only he could do it. Nobody else. They went for a flat 6. I think Andy just kept looking at him. What's wrong? What's happening to this guy? Next ball, square cut, square drive. And I still remember Malcolm Marshall used to call him madman. Because in those days, people never used to hit over the top to fast bowlers. But he was the only one in the world at that time. He would hit over mid-off, over covers and all that. But what a fantastic inning. Really, I think that was one of the best innings we watched in the World Cup from Indian point of view. And at a crucial time, I think we needed somebody like him to go and score those runs freely. Although we scored 183, but I think they were good enough to beat West Indies.
Dilip is wondering what I'm doing sitting next to Chika at this stage, because Chika, I promise you, from the time I used to know him in the mid-80s to now, he has not changed at all.
What is that? What is that to change, Harsha? क्या बात कर रहे हैं आप? क्या change करना चाहिए, you know? One good thing is, dear friends here and people are watching, I had the license from all the captains, whether it's Kapil Dev or Sunil Gavaskar. Chika, apna game khelo. So both Sunny, who say hi Sunny, and then of course Sunny is the original partner, and then Ravi Shastri, my other partner. How are you, Shastri? What's up, man? So
This thing.
yeah. So all these guys used to give you a license. Maar, kuch bhi kar. So one thing is when we have a captain's backing and the players, all the senior players backing, they can play a natural game. What more do you want? I mean, why should I change? Tell me, क्या बात कर रहे हैं आप? Change. क्या change करना चाहिए बोलो?
Okay, tell me, when you became captain, then what did you think about your batting?
When I was Indian captain, then we had the Imran Khan. So all we wanted to do was that was short while, but then that's right. Dear guys, I'm a natural guy. Whatever happens, good things, bad things, ugly things. That's the way I play. That's what I know. That's it.
Next to this, Dilip Venkateswar was a very completely different kind of personality. Dilip, what were your thoughts going into that World Cup? Because not many people thought India had a chance of winning. What were your thoughts when you reached England for that World Cup?
No, I think before that, we played a match in Berbice. I think it's West Indies. And that was the first time India beat West Indies. And West Indies, of course, was invincible at that point of time. They had dominated for 15 years. Of ODIs and of course Test match cricket as well. But then we knew that there might be an outside chance that we might beat them. And that's what happened at Old Trafford when we played, I think, for the first time. And we thought that we should bat first. And put them under pressure. Because under pressure they might crumble. And that's what happened at Old Trafford as well at the Lords.
Sandeep, I've been asked to ask you this question, Sandeep, if you're still awake. Zaga is na? I don't know if Sandeep slept at 8 o'clock. In the days of day-night cricket, Sandeep would be asleep at the non-striker then.
Hello. I think the sleep which I missed during my playing days, I'm trying to catch up.
That semi-final, there was a smile on your face when that last ball was being bowled with the entire field on one side so that you could play the shot and run. What were your thoughts when that ball is coming in? I mean, everyone's assumed the game is over, but I still have to hit the ball.
In fact, I smiled because Kapil started smiling. You know, he was at the other end, and of course, we had never experienced something like that. You know, all the fielders on the offside. So naturally, it was a funny moment.
I was told you, Ravi and Kirti were the pranksters in the team. Is that right? Kirti was such a...
And what about this man?
वो तो उनके लिए अभी आखिरी सवाल रखा है मैंने. बल्लू जी के बारे में बोल रहे हैं आप?
Yeah.
But I was told, asked specifically, Kirti, Sandeep and Ravi were the pranksters of the side. I can understand Ravi, we've known him so well, he's far enough of...
Ravi was my room partner, but we are missing one other guy, great guy, late Yash. He was also in our gang.
Of pranksters?
हमारे 7 अच्छे बच्चे थे और 7 I shouldn't be saying बुरे बच्चे थे. But that's how the combination works. 7 against 7. 7 लोग दिन में खेलते थे, 7 लोग शाम को खेलते थे.
Ravi laughing. Ravi been seeing everything you're doing, by the way. But just to tell you how close they were, number 4 was Yashpal Sharma. Number 5 was Sandeep Patil. They even called their boys by the same name. Chirag is here. Your Chirag is around as well. Both call their boys Chirag. Can you imagine? I'm sure that was not what you were talking about in the middle. बच्चे का नाम चिराग रखे. अरे मैं भी सोच रहा था चिराग रखो. No, okay. बल्लू जी, बॉल सबको याद है, लेकिन रन बनाया आपने. आई वांट टू आस्क यू अबाउट योर रन्स, क्योंकि आपने अक्सर कहा कि वो बॉल सर पे लगा इसलिए बॉल जो हाथ में से निकला वो अलग निकला.
लास्ट विकेट पार्टनरशिप की बात कर रहे हो?
हाँ.
नहीं, मैं ऑलवेज बिलीव करता हूँ कि लास्ट बैट्समैन जो होता है, लास्ट विकेट पार्टनरशिप, अगर वो नॉट आउट रहे तो जितने भी रन बनते हैं वो मैं सोचता हूँ कि मैंने बनाए, क्योंकि मैं अगर आउट हो जाता हूँ तो रन नहीं बनेंगे. तो उस मैच में बेशक मैंने सब 10-11 बनाए होंगे, लेकिन मेरी और किरी भाई की पार्टनरशिप हुई तो हमारी 22 रन की पार्टनरशिप हुई, और वो उस लो स्कोरिंग गेम में इंपॉर्टेंट पार्टनरशिप थी. मुझे लगता है ऐसे, आज भी लगता है. तो मुझे लगता है कि मैंने 22 रन बनाए, क्योंकि मैं वहाँ आउट नहीं हुआ और मैं नॉट आउट ही रहा. और उसका एक दूसरा कारण भी था कि मेरे सर पे जब बॉल लगा तो मुझे सब वो टीचरें याद आ गई जिसने कान पे मुझे मारा, और उसके बाद में दिमाग चलने लग जाता है.
Even Sunil Gavaskar is laughing as he hears that. Yeah, that leaves one man. But भाजी, आपको पता था कि जब आप वो टनब्रिज वेल्स में 175 आपकी इनिंग्स चल रही थी तो मैनेजर ने कहा था कि कोई हिलेगा नहीं, किसी को बाथरूम जाने नहीं दिया मैनेजर ने ना? अब तो जाने देते हैं सबको, आज परमिशन है सबको.
नहीं, अब के भी जब 18 तारीख को बात की जा रही थी जिम्बाब्वे मैच के लिए, तो मैंने पूरी टीम को मैसेज भेजा, डोंट मूव. ऐसी यादें रह जाती हैं. और जब मैं मैनेजर बना तो मेरे को ये लगा कि 14 छोटे भाई मेरे साथ रहेंगे. धीरे धीरे जैसे मैचेस जीतते गए और फाइनल्स जीतने के बाद एकदम कपिल्स डेविल्स, तो मैं एकदम परेशान हो गया. 1 महीने में मेरे छोटे भाई डेविल्स कैसे बन गए. लेकिन एक ऐसी चीज़ हुई जिसकी वजह से आज इंडिया की क्रिकेट वहाँ पे है.
मैं यहाँ पे वो जो सुपरस्टिशन की बात जो की है, मानने जो सारी टीम को जैसे बैठे हैं वैसे बैठने का है. तो श्रीकांत और उसकी बेगम झाड़ के नीचे एक के बाद एक सिगरेट पी रहा है, और he had kept his shoulder on her shoulders. And ऐसे ही ऐसे वो देख रहा था, and suddenly he said, मान बोल के बताया, उधर ही कर ले.
बेगम भी सिगरेट पी रही थी?
अरे बिल्कुल, बेगम साथ में रहना चाहिए, हर वक्त सिगरेट पीते भी.
बेगम नहीं सिगरेट पीता रहे, मैं पी रहा है. क्या बेगम सिगरेट पी रहा है? विद्या, ये नहीं अच्छा ना तो पढ़ माइना पकड़ा वाला रंगा. डोंट बिलीव ऑल दिस fellas. बस the problem with Man was it was so cold here at Tonbridge Wells, an open air, and Vidya at least is born and being fully brought up in Delhi. She's used to the cold weather. मैं तो मद्रासी हूँ, hot weather. मैं बोल रहा हूँ मान 5 मिनट में नहीं कुछ भी करो, आप तो पैंट में करो. ऐसे क्या जमाने ने. So entire 175 not out, thanks to Man Singh, both Vidya and myself saw the match, leading on Vidya's shirt, the shoulder and the wall, and it was an amazing, what do you call, 174. Kapil, तुसी great हो बाजी.
Is that why, before this function started, you quickly went to the washroom and came?
You are right. You said it right. You were searching where Srikkanth. I heard you saying that. I thought better not to do the same thing. What mistake I did in Tonbridge Wells.
भाजी, जब आप आंख बंद करके वर्ल्ड कप के बारे में सोचते हो, कभी ट्रॉफी याद आती है, या वो कैच जो पकड़ा आपने याद आता है, या टनब्रिज वेल याद आता है? पहली मेमोरी क्या आती है आपको?
लास्ट विकेट.
Not the trophy, last week.
I think the most important thing is जो भी होता है जब वो real win आता है ना वो last ball हो या last run हो last wicket हो I think that's the most you keep on thinking yes आपका mind चलता है कि ये हो सकता है but I think the focus is the most important thing and ये था कि जब वो जिमी ने बॉल किया और LBW दिया I think it was just a different feeling. Before that, you start thinking it's possible, but it's not possible till the last wicket. I think that's the most important thing.
175. Yeah. 175 was the turning point of the tournament. And जो कैच पकड़ी कपिल ने, वो टर्निंग पॉइंट ऑफ द फाइनल था. वहाँ से हमको उम्मीदें लग गई थी कि अभी हम मैच जीत जाएंगे. सिर्फ 5 विकेटें और निकाली हैं.
Sunil Gavaskar is here. I'm just trying to look at the scorecard. And caught Gavaskar. That was a big moment. Sunil, you remember that well? Because he was probably the last batsman who could take them there.
Yes, because he used to take his batting quite seriously. He wanted to be known as an all-rounder, Malcolm, and therefore, while he and Dujon were together, West Indies would have still had some hopes of getting to the target because it wasn't a really big target. So that catch, I think he stepped down the pitch trying because Jimmy was getting the ball to move, and he stepped down the pitch trying to negate the movement of the surface, but the ball bounced just a little bit. And I think Jimmy saw him come down, and then Jimmy bowled it also just a little bit wide. And then the edge came to me. But I think at that point, you've also got to remember that most captains would have not employed a slip fielder. Most captains would have looked at saving a run, run-saving position, not a wicket-taking position. So both Jimmy and who was the vice captain and Kapil deserve the compliments. But looking to take wickets, because really that was the only way we could have won, was to dismiss West Indies for under 180. And that was the reason why I was standing there. I had very little contribution to make throughout that tournament. But these two catches certainly made me feel that I contributed just a little bit in that effort.
Wally, your thoughts as the tournament was progressing, were you, as Kirti said, or as Sandeep said, the 7 good guys or the 7 other guys? Which group were you in?
Neutral, and incidentally, I've been mentioning this time and again, that the captain and the manager had a single room, and so did the vice captain. The 4th person who had a single room was me.
Not because of your reputation?
Certainly not, because I had one of the Badmashes with me. So he was out practically every day. Can you imagine the state of the player?
Now you have to tell
present
us.
day.
You have to tell us.
And ACU. So it was...
so who was your roommate? Come on.
Any guesses?
You're looking left, so I'm assuming it's Kirti.
I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you.
I have no idea. Was it Kirti, was it Ravi, was it Sandeep?
My best buddy, right from college.
Best buddy है तो बोलने की जरूरत क्या है सब?
Bachelor. Let's put that, But he was one of those who was fun-loving, enjoying himself, and he definitely was the ringleader. And Kirti was
Sandy was the ringleader.
Yeah, the vice captain was certainly Kirti for sure. And even though you spoke about superstitions, Harsha, let me tell you, the Zimbabwe game, yes, Manbai was absolutely, adamant, nobody moves out. But it was worse even in the final. Final, in case if you happen to be inside the dressing room and you're sitting there and a wicket falls, then you can't get up.
In 2 miles, take
And
exit.
he had lot many people who were, from the board, BCCI. And everyone was sitting where they were parked at that moment.
The manager had that much power in those days.
He did enforce. In fact, the board president also forced him to sit.
Ravi, there's a mention about how would your team have been had there been COVID protocol? There's no way you, Kirti and Sandeep are sticking in 83?
Chance ही नहीं. No chance. You would have found a way to sneak out. No question about it. सवाल ही नहीं. You would have 100% found a way of sneaking out.
कपिल, कब आपको पता चला कि एक बहुत बड़ी चीज हमने की है? You said the last week at that point did you realize कि इतनी बड़ी चीज है कि 40 साल के बाद भी लोग उसमें फिल्म बनाना चाहेंगे, किताब करना चाहेंगे, इतने लोग देखिए हॉल भरा हुआ है, कहानियां सुनना चाहेंगे. At what point do you think कि हमने कुछ बड़ी चीज की है?
What I feel, it's not happened overnight, over the period of time. हम जीते, but आप ये नहीं कह सकते कि उसी दिन जिंदगी चेंज हो गई. जिंदगी हर रोज चेंज होती जाती है. लास्ट आई थिंक 10 साल में जो मुझे लगा कि बहुत प्यार मोहब्बत थोड़ी ज़्यादा मिल रही है, क्योंकि क्रिकेट इस जगह पर इंडियन क्रिकेट पहुंच गई है. तो उस समय तो ज़िंदगी चेंज नहीं हुई, लेकिन आज जब मिलते हैं तो लगता है कि हर एक दिन शायद वो इम्पोर्टेंट दिन बनता जा रहा है, उसकी चर्चा होती है. तो इसलिए शायद अब हमें ज़्यादा इज्जत मान मिल रहा है, एंड वो आप शब्दों में भी नहीं बयान कर सकते. उस दिन अगर आप पूछो अगले दिन क्या हुआ, नॉर्मल लाइफ थी, कोई फर्क नहीं था. अगली सीरीज खेले, बड़ी पिटाई हुई, बड़ी गालियां मिली, वो सब कुछ नॉर्मल था. पर जब आप ओवर द पीरियड ऑफ टाइम होते हैं ना, तो पता चलता है कि दिस टीम हैव डन अ ग्रेट जॉब. एंड आई कैन, एज अ कैप्टन, आई कैन ओनली से दैट आई थिंक everybody was wonderful. You need those 7 people also this side. You need those 7 people, quiet people also. अगर सारे सुनील गावस्कर जैसे होते तो बाकी हो और कौन, सुनील गावस्कर कौन होता, और सारे अगर संदीप और कीर्ति और रवि की तरह होते तो बाकी कौन होता. I think it's a blend was very, very important. We had a very mature player also, and we had very young player, and to me the character is more important, and this team has a character. I think that's what I feel proud about that.
There's one other thing when you look at everybody over here. If you look down the scorecard, I still look at that scorecard so many times. Is that team batted till number 11, and that team had 6-7 bowling options. Aajkal we talk about all-rounders, we talk about balance. वो टीम कंस्ट्रक्ट हुई थी वैसे कि इतने मुझे बॉलिंग ऑप्शंस चाहिए कि
नहीं, मुझे इतना याद नहीं है. One can easily say the storyteller are the most beautiful people, like Sandeep. He tell the story, so you need that type of idea. I think आधी टीम बन जाती है और 90% टीम बन जाती है. 2-3 के ऊपर ही सिर्फ as a captain you have to work on that. Here you need mature people also, you need young boys also, and that's what it happened. If you ask me, I remember everything. No, I don't remember much of that, but it's remember that जब team बन गई, then you start feeling and start working on that. And some of the players who could have gone on that tour didn't make it, but that's how the life is all about.
Amit, what caused you to do this? I mean, you're too young to remember all these stories, man.
Yeah, I mean, like 3 years and some months, 2 years and some months.
That's okay. That's okay. You were not a World Cup baby like Yash and Renu had.
No, I think so. My parents were a bit ahead of time. So, but yeah, I mean, growing up, we've all played cricket, and I was blessed to be in the school which I was brought up. There was a lot of sports and activities that we've done. So we've always been very closely associated with cricket. And the moment we started doing Opus almost a decade back, we always thought we should do something special for the Indian, in the Indian sports or something related to India. During that whole conversation, the conversation just stuck one day, me and Ajay Jadeja sitting by the pool, talking about, we should do something on Opus. And next thing I know, he's in West Indies talking to Sunil sir connecting me to Kapil sir. And so it goes back like almost 3.5 years, 2019. So this is a pre-COVID idea, which was conceived in COVID and released.
So you see, even COVID couldn't come in the way of a 1983 World Cup book.
So what's funny is we actually started the whole Opus journey just the day before the lockdown was announced, the second wave, which was the most deadliest. And we were supposed to shoot with Kapil sir the next day, and immediately morning he said, "यार कुछ लग रहा है, अभी नहीं करते, अगले हफ्ते करेंगे." And that अगला हफ्ता went on to become almost a month. So finally, when some sanity came back, so we had decided that. So essentially, the first thing that we do with any Opus is we get the signatures done, because that is the USP of the brand. Without the signatures, it's just another book. The authenticity comes with having all these greats signing on one piece of paper and making that piece of paper memorable and valuable at the same time. So flights were hardly flying. So literally our team had to drive from Delhi to Mumbai. First stop, we finished the Mumbai players. Then we moved to Goa. We did Mr. Amarnath. Then we went to Bangalore. We did Mr. Kirmani. Unfortunately, Roger sir was unwell. Then we drove all the way to Chennai, did Kiri sir, Hyderabad, Mr. P.R. Mansingh, then came back to Delhi. And it's also very, memorable is due to some reason, Mr. Yash sir wasn't able to join us when we did the Delhi leg. So he was the only player who signed these Opus last. All the players had done the signatures before him, and he was the last player to sign this. And even his shoot, his interview that he gave was really toward the end, and he was so involved. And I still feel about it that we were supposed to meet him on the 16th. We had scheduled a 2-hour interview where the writers wanted to finish the book. But but overall I'm quite happy with what we have done, what we have achieved. And I'm sure the players would like it, the audience would like it. And we have only 1,983 copies, and that many lucky owners who will be there to see what's in it.
So just
I
as
think
well
that's
that
the
India...
most important thing. I must understand, this is only 1,983 books. That's what we had a deal with them. No more than that. Only number 1,983.
They were precise. They said we are not giving you any demo copies also. So whatever you have demo, that comes out of your pocket.
Yeah.
So on that note, I would actually like to introduce everyone to Carl Fowler. He is the CEO of Opus International. Carl, can you hear us?
You there, Carl?
Carl, are you there?
I can hear you.
Yeah, just want to let you know, Carl, that there's a banquet hall full of people who are watching you. Nah, I was just putting it. Tell us about the idea behind Opus, biggest ever book on Indian cricket. And what's your role in that?
Well, first of all, I just wanted to congratulate everybody there in India. It's I've been watching it from the start, and it's been a fantastic ceremony, and it's the room looks wonderful, and all the players on stage there. It's a proud moment for everybody here at Opus in London.
Wonderful, and we're all looking forward to trying to lift the book. What's heavier, the book or the trophy? Baji, book is heavier or the trophy?
Book is far heavier than I mean, trophy was not, but trophies weight otherwise 1,000 times more than the book.
What Amit hasn't said yet is that we have a rule at Opus, is that if anybody can bench press the Opus 100 times, they can keep a copy.
That's a big one.
I'm trying to think of all the people on the stage at the moment in this vintage. Which one of them is going to bench press that much 100 times?
We can call someone from the audience if someone wants to try.
Ballu?
Srikkanth.
Ballu, bench press 100? Ravi bhi keh raha hai.
Don Sandu is the only guy.
इनकी बातें मत
I think we might have started something we shouldn't finish.
इनकी और रवि की अगर बातें सुनोगे तो वो चाबी लगा के उठा ले वो लगा देगा, खुद तो हंसता रहेगा, वो देखो अभी भी हंस रहा है.
Before we end, Anupam, Amulya, the thought behind sponsoring something like this, because it's a part of the heritage of everyone of my generation, the generation of Tendulkar and Dravid and Ganguly, who saw 1983 happen, and the dreams started to take root. Must be a wonderful feeling for you to be in this audience and sponsoring this book?
Absolutely. The honor is ours to be a part of the book, and whether it's Ganguly, Dravid, Tendulkar, Indian team is Indian team. And the first World Cup win is always remembered more than any other win. So we are extremely proud as payments to be part of the journey and would love to continue to encourage Indian sports even more in future, how we can do it, how we can enhance or give our participation.
Yeah, that'll be wonderful, yeah.
We also have some news for Amit and the team.
Yes.
If I can share. So we spoke to the Guinness Book of Records, and it's going into the record books as the heaviest book, the biggest book on the sport of cricket ever created in December this year.
Isn't that fantastic? So Ravi, on your way to Lord's, do remember, Ravi, that is the heaviest book. So don't try and bench press up at Lord's yourself.
No, it's, there are 3 people coming with it to the WG Grace Grid, and they will help me. You know, unless Balu is there, Balu would have done it on his own, but I won't need 3 people. Take it.
Right, Mark, thank you. Mark, thank you for joining us. Amit, you as well, and Amulya and Anupam. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, a big hand to these adventurers. As I said, back in 1932, 11 adventurers went out and played for India for the first time. And in 1983, these adventurers on the very same ground went and got a World Cup for India for the very first time. And we weren't around in 32, but I'll tell you something, I was 22 then, for a 22-year-old to watch what you were doing was still one of the most special moments for us. I mean, you guys went and did it, but for us, it was such a special moment. So thank you very much. I've been asked that you stay on stage because I think everyone's got a nice little bouquet for you to say thank you very much. So, thank you.
I think that we've all had enough. What keeps you up at night, yeah? Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. You got me like, oh, I think that we've all had enough. Sick of dealing with the old plan. They know that we're calling it wrong. It's too late to try to go contain it. A generation fueled by creation. We live lives on a small screen nation. We control the airwaves, no negotiation. I refuse to think we need saving. Something good will come from creation. And when we think that the world is too anxious, we'll adapt, evolve, survive, and save it. What keeps you up at night, yeah? Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah. I think that we've all had enough. What keeps you up at night, yeah? Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built to thrive, yeah.